Good morning, everyone. Thank you, Mrs. Castellani, for joining us today. We are discussing a major development in European competition law. On September the 10th of 2024, the Court of Justice of the European Union, CJU, delivered its final judgment in the Google shopping case, officially known as the C48/22P. This decision is critical part of Europe's response to the power of big tech, of GAFAM. I am joined by our legal expert to break this down. Welcome.
Thank you. It is a true pleasure to be here to discuss with you.
This case has a long history, and before we get to the legal question, could you please briefly explain what Google actually did that caused this dispute?
Certainly. Here, the core issue is about self-preferencing. We all know that Google dominates the market for general search engines, but they also offer a specialized service called comparison shopping. And the European Commission found that Google was preferencing its own services by displacing it at the top of the searches in eye-catching boxes, while demoting rivals, pushing them far down.
So they were promoting themselves while effectively hiding the competition, if I understood correctly.
Absolutely, and this brings us to the legal heart of the matter. The court found that this conduct diverted traffic away from rivals because of Google's dominance in general search.
That leads me to my first legal question. Google's main defense relied on a famous case of called Bronner from 1998, and indeed they argued that unless they completely refused to supply a service, they shouldn't be penalized. How did the court respond to that?
Yes, this is a crucial point. In the Bronner case, the issue was about a refusal to supply. Here, Google argued the same, in favor of it. However, the court rejected this by stating that the Bronner criteria do not apply to every case with exclusionary effects. Here, it is an independent form of abuse. It is not that Google refused access, it provided it under discriminatory conditions, and that's the problem. By using self-preferencing, they actively distorted competition.
I see. So the refusal to supply defense didn't really hold up. This brings us to the second question. The court spoke about competition on the merits, and I would like to know, how did they determine that Google's action went against this principle?
Yes, competition on the merits generally means winning customer because you offer a better product to a better price. Here, it is not the same. It is leveraging, meaning that the dominant company in a special market uses that power to take over another market. The court agreed that Google's did not rely on better quality or efficiency, but on discriminatory tactics, excluding competitors.
And on that note, did the court look at whatever the rivals were actually efficient in companies?
Yes, and this is my first point. The court validated the use of the as efficient competitor test, used to see if a potential competitor can be pushed out of the market by the abusive conduct of the dominant company. The court confirmed that this test is mandatory and relevant in this case in particular because Google's conduct is indeed capable of excluding even the most efficient rivals simply because they couldn't overcome the visibility disadvantage.
I would say that this is a very high standard to meet. But finally, looking forward, we now have the Digital Market Act, or DMA, in Europe. How would you say this judgment fits with these new regulations?
They fit perfectly. The DMA designate companies like Google as gatekeepers. Interestingly, the DMA now explicitly prohibits self-preferencing. Because of that case, the DMA confirms that dominant platforms have a special responsibility. They cannot use their power to distort competition in neighboring markets. Fairness and contestability are now enforceable legal standards.
So this judgment really cements the rules for the digital economy.
Absolutely. I do believe that it does mark a turning point for the next couple of years in competition law.
Thank you very much for this clear analysis.
Thank you.